Any other questions, Tempo?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, all right, let's go in and look at this first use case. As I've explained just now, this use case is based on what we have done in AI Singapore. This is based on a real customer's example. So let's first start with what is customer segmentation. Why is it important? When we do marketing, this has been something that we have been doing for the past couple of decades. The reason that we do that is because we want to divide our customer population into groups with similar characteristics so that we can more effectively target them with the right product, with the right pricing, etc. And also to increase the effectiveness of our marketing campaign. So hopefully, after we segment them, they have similar behavior so that when we reach out to them with the same messages, it will be more accurate. That has served marketers well for many decades. The traditional way of segmenting customers is really to look at demographics or locality information like education, income, gender, age, etc., etc. And with that, we will be able to create some rules to segment the market. Like for example, you could have a segmentation based on income, high income, mid income, low income. Those has been traditionally used as been pretty effective. However, as we know that some of these demographics features don't really translate well into similar behavior or preference. Let me give you an example. If you segment your customers to high income, mid income, low income, a high income person could be a 30-year-old person who have just IPO'd his startup, or it can be a 70-year-old retiree. I guess the preferences for products for these two persons will be very different. So you will start to add in age, you add in occupation and stuff like that. So that's how we do it in the past. However, given machine learning, we can take the same type of data and also add on top of it things that are not available, like the opinions of a person, like how he has responded to your questionnaires, how they have written back in your customer survey forms, stuff like that. You can take those data, satisfaction rating, feedback, etc., etc., put them together with the demographics and locality data. You will be able to then make use of machine learning model to automatically find the right clusters that hopefully can separate your customers in a more advanced and more accurate way. When I say accurate, it would mean whether it is able to predict their future behavior or not. That's all what segmentation is all about. And later I'll be showing you an example of after you have created this segment, this segmentation data can then be used for another AI model, which will make the other AI model even more accurate. Let me give you a specific example to make it more understandable. Now, this is an example that based on a project that we have done in AI Singapore. We have changed the type of business that they are in. However, the scenario is very similar. So this is a pet shop selling pet foods and pet essentials. They have retail outlets throughout Singapore. They have lots of customers, registered customers, and then the members actually will get discount via the app when they go purchase products in the retail outlet. Now, this point is very important because once you have this kind of discount app, or you are able to track the actual customer purchase at a retail store, you will be able to do a lot more stuff with AI. We will talk about that in a moment. So given this scenario, let's see how do we do customer segmentation. So we will start with transaction records. And when I say transaction records, I mean something like this. I think every company who sells products or services will have this kind of data in their accounting system or in their ERP. You know, like each of these is a transaction. And then in each transaction, you have multiple product ID. That means bought multiple product in one receipt, but it belongs to the same customer, how much is spent and discount and stuff like that. So this is very standard. I think everybody would understand what that means. Once we have this kind of data, we will be able to transform it from a transaction view to a customer view. So over time, over a 12 months period, per customer, how much have they spent? Like this, for example, the first customer spent $275. Recency means when was the last time that they did the purchase. This is 3 days ago and this is 38 days ago. And then you can put in things like how long has he been in as a customer. This is 839 days ago, and this one is a very new customer just 2 days ago. Which shop did he purchase mostly from, and number of pets and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to show you is an example of what are the features, what are the characteristics that we use in order to do the segmentation. Now I'm showing you something like 8 columns here. But in a real project, you can easily, you know, stretch this to like 40 columns, 50 columns. And the beauty is that with AI will be able to crunch through all this number and find kind of similarities among the customers automatically for you, which is very difficult for a human to do, because once you start to look at, you know, more than 10 columns of data, it's very difficult to handle. So once you have those kind of data, put it into the machine learning model, it will try to separate out your customers like this into, let's say, 5 clusters. How do you know it's 5 clusters? Well, there are a mathematical way for you to find the optimal clusters. So it's not difficult. Once you learn it, you will see that 5 clusters is the most optimal way to do it. You can try it with 5, you can try it with 4, you can try it with 6. The algorithm will automatically be able to separate out your customers like this for you. Within each clusters, those customers are deemed to be most similar to each other. And once you're able to do that, then you can do an average like this. So that means 5 segments. In each of these segments, it has some characteristics. Like the first segment, you see that, hey, this first segment actually have more pets. They own more pets than the rest, and they purchase the most value. So you would say, okay, this segment sounds like they are pets lovers and big spenders. And then the second cluster, you see that, hey, they buy a lot more frequent, like 34 times over the last 12 months, whereas most others purchase like once a month or less. So let's call them frequent buyers. And then the third, hey, you realize that these guys have been with you the longest, 6.9 years, compared to roughly about 2 odd years on average. So these are the loyal customers. And then again, oh, this cluster, they use the most coupons. Therefore, these are coupon lovers. And the last cluster, you realize that they've been with you for quite a long time, but didn't really purchase much. Therefore, they are missing in action. So what I've shown you is a common way for us to use a machine learning model to automatically do the separation into different clusters first, and then use human intuition to look at some of the statistics of these clusters, and then start looking into this. It's quite interesting. Now we are, I'm showing you just a few columns, but when you start to have like 10 columns or 15 columns to look at, you will be able to find interesting correlation, interesting clustering that a human will not have that intuition to do, but machine will be able, the algorithm will actually be able to find this type of interesting grouping for you. And given this kind of grouping, then you will be able to do much more interesting analytics. Like you will be able to do a product propensity, meaning that out of your product groups, these different clusters of customers, they have a different propensity to purchase. Like the higher number means they will likely buy more of that kind of products. Or you can also look into your product or revenue or profit contribution based on different clusters to do analysis of which type of customers contribute or more important to you and less important to you. You can also do campaign analysis. Like here, down here, you will see that different type of segment of customers will react differently to different type of campaigns. So these are just some examples of once you have segment information, you will be able to do much more interesting analytics based on your existing data. Later, in a second use case, we will be using this customer segment information to do prediction of how much each of the customer is actually gonna spend. Now, before I go there, let me see whether there are some question I can answer related to customer segmentation. Tempo?
There's one question. It says, does it auto sync all the parameters? I'm not so sure what does the participants exactly mean.
Auto sync, let me assume that it means that does the algorithm take into consideration all the parameters? Is that the question?
Okay, so you're saying that if there are more than 100 rows where numbers are changing, can they be updated automatically?
When the roles change means new customer come in, old customer leave and all that, the model can be retrained. Yes, it can be, and that is the power of AI, that you can retrain the model frequently or regularly, depending on how fast your business is. A fast running business can actually retrain the cluster every 1-2 months, but slow moving business can retrain it once every 6 to 12 months. So once you retrain, the clusters will be different again. It will give you some interesting insights to it. So that's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking.
Can you elaborate further on the P1 to P10? What does the P1 to P10 means in the product propensity?
P1 means product groups. So I didn't put in the real names of the products, like depending on what you are selling. In our example is pet foods. So this could be a cat food category. This could be a dog food. This could be, some other type of products, or it can be toys for the dogs. So these are product groups that are defined by the business. So what I'm saying is that in the past, what you can only see is that how does each of your product group behave? But now what you can see is that by product group, which customer segment has a higher propensity to purchase. Higher propensity means higher likelihood. There are ways, there are algorithms that you can do to generate this type of chart, that you will see that, hey, if I were to target the big spenders, let me make sure that I put in more P3 to them, the third product group to them, and like some others will be less attractive to this cluster of customers.
Yeah, that's all. No further questions.
Okay, so please feel free to let's make this interactive. Feel free to type in all the questions that you have. Tempo will read it out to me as we go along.